Heidi. It is 1:01 p.m., October 24th. Building and Planning Committee. Obviously call this thing to order. Approval as agenda. Did everyone go through the agenda? They're okay with that? Without any changes, we'll get a motion to accept.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that need to be changes. I'll make a motion that we accept them.
Second. Okay. Mr. Parks?
Yes.
Yes. Buddy? Ms. Catherine?
Yes.
Yes. And at this point, Ross is tardy. Okay. Public comment, if anyone has anything to say, public that's before this board needs to be heard. Carrie, you don't want to say anything?
I would like to say nothing.
I'm used to that. I just thought I'd ask. All right. That being said, approval of minutes from September 26th. Did everyone review the minutes that was presented? Do we have any changes that need to be made?
I haven't reviewed them yet. Can I take a minute and review them all?
Of course you can. You better have to be a speed reader.
They look
You
fine.
got a minute. All right. You know, motion to accept.
Make a motion.
Thank you, John. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Catherine. Mr. Sparks.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Bob, it's on you, sir.
Okay, well. As you saw in my status that's attached to the agenda. The master plan or the seismic upgrade of the hospital is the architect tells me it will be back to Oshpod either the last week of October or the first week of November. They were just finalizing some last things. That's those 41 corrections from the last go around. It's taken a little while to get some of those resolved, but they have to have it in by the first week of November to meet the timelines, because they're given X amount of time, then Oshpod has X amount of time, and those are all set by Oshpod's plan review process. So it will be back in plan review probably for 60 to 90 days. We don't know for sure. At that point, we have our fingers crossed, but we may have approved plans probably with comments. Usually they won't send it back with 6 comments. They'll just put those comments on the drawing, say to take care of this during construction. That would be our best case scenario. That in then approximately 60 days, we may have an approved set of plans.
Rob, during the nature of the 41.
I actually, to tell you the truth, I dropped it in the waste can after having reviewed it many times.
Yeah.
Yesterday when I was cleaning my desk, but yeah, they were all very minor stuff. There was nothing earth shattering at all.
That's the third time
41 comments. Yeah. It's all just minor stuff. And I should have brought those with me. I didn't think about it.
I'd kind of like to see those.
Sure. I can print them out for you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because this is like you said, the third time. So just out of curiosity, in case I start
Yeah,
building.
what I will do is after the meeting, I will get those and I will send them to Heidi, and if Heidi wants, does that work to send them out? So if they want to review those comments, they can. It's like 8 pages, just set up this way with boxes of what each of the comments are.
Yeah, that's like.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it's
If
a
you
matter
guys
of
don't
public
mind.
record.
Of course.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with sharing that, no problem. I just could think to include that. But I can in the future, if you would want to see those.
Yeah, no, it's 200 or 300. That's a different story.
Right.
Well,
Final 40.
yeah, the first plan review, I forget what it was, I don't know, 180 comments or something. It was substantial, and some of them as minor as change the wording in this sentence, but other things like we'll show all of this documentation that, we want additional information on. It can vary tremendously on how much work is involved in answering each comment. All right, so new administration building, we are,
And the master plan,
yes.
I don't think it would probably be Tim, but we've got so many dates that we gotta perform by, or we lose money, the 5-year, $5 million that we borrowed in. When was that? 20?
But my understanding, Dave says that we're not.
We're not held by the date.
Okay.
But
Can we
even
get Dave
so-
to fix the window so
Yeah.
we can see a picture, because right now, this money we're waiting for, we could get upside down.
Yeah, but my understanding is
Look at-
the generator project's gonna eat up. We could argue that that eats up the majority of that.
But, well, can we see it?
That would be, that's not me.
That's the one thing. That Dave, that would be you.
Okay.
Yeah, the amount remaining in that fund is right around 3 million. Bob is right. After we get done with the emergency generator, it'll much be depleted, which will get us real close to the 3-year window that we had is when the financing occurred about 3 years ago.
But what we've heard also after that was the fact that they were not gonna hold us to that 5-year window.
Yeah,
I recall.
Gary Hicks just advised us. There's a technical thing that we have to file a memo. And then in case the IRS ever comes by, we'll have the documentation to show that we've done everything possible to get to expend the money in the timeframes allowed. And that's he says that shouldn't be any problem.
Obviously, can we still see that on paper? So, Director Burris can get what he needs.
Well, we all wanna see it, make sure that we're.
See all the critical
Yeah.
dates to where,
Right.
Well,
I agree with you.
I think we certainly, by the time we charge the generator project and a few other things to it, we can show that we have spent
that'd be
a
cheaper
large
than 5
amount of
million,
money.
right? And you can even use that small building that you're working on.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, yeah.
And.
Right,
not
'cause it's all
spend
part of-
too much
It's all
money,
part of the whole
right,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's other dates like the FEMA fund, if we get it, which would be so awesome. And then it's strings tied to it and dates tied to it. And
The main timeframe with the FEMA, if we get the FEMA funds, is that the project has to be completed in 4 years.
well, we need 10 more years. Okay,
We'll
I
get,
don't
We'll get to that
we'll
point.
get a really good contractor who's really quick and we'll get her done in 4 years.
I just, Tim.
No, but
No, I understand, I agree with you.
That is the big date that we had to agree to, because originally we had submitted for 5 years.
Right.
Because we had said, well, it'll probably take 5 years for the project. And they said, no, FEMA does not want projects to extend beyond 4 years.
Okay, so if we.
We just spend their money first. That's all.
If we've got 7 and 8 left.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we spend their money and we get their 75%.
Right.
Can we continue on with our money?
Yes, or my understanding is if you get down towards the end of your 4 years, let's just say you're gonna run some months past that 4 years, that you simply put together a nice document stating why, et cetera, and that, we expect to be done by this date, and you submit that to FEMA. And I was told that they usually grant the extension.
Because there's things that, are beyond our control time wise and those kinds of things, and they certainly
Yeah.
understand that.
But there's lots of little dates that.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And and let's just say we had approved plans 3 months down the road, or let's just say we got FEMA approved next month. Well, we already lost a couple of months on a start date because we can't start till we have approved plans. So, there's variables at this point that we can't nail down.
In the 5-year of the thing we did 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
We still should have. What was the accountant's name that you said,
Gary Hicks.
yeah, Gary Hicks, his opinion,
Mhm.
it's not in writing, it's not nothing, I mean, he says, well, IRS should accept this,
Yeah.
hey,
No, I got more than Gary Hicks. I got his attorney, Quint, Brian Quint. And I did get something in writing, and I have it on file. So I've got more than just somebody's opinion.
Okay, well, just, okay.
Yeah. Well, do we just need to keep
Yeah.
you all apprised of
Right.
those dates and issues and things as this moves along?
Thank you.
Okay, new administration building. I don't know if anybody you drove by there and saw we're digging up the alley. The county came back, and two of the last things that they wanted to add back into the project is they wanted the septic system verified, size of tank, length of leach field, size of bedrock under the leach field. So I have John from General Plumbing doing that work today. And the reason we're digging it up, first they pumped the tank, measured the tank, so we have the volume of the tank. But when they went to run the camera down the leach line, the leach line had settled and it was offset enough that they couldn't get the camera through in order to camera all the way down and verify the leach field. So now they're digging up a section of the alley, which is our property. It's not the county's alley. And so they're going to realign the first few 6-8 feet of the line to bring it up to the grade of the tank. And then they will, we believe that it goes down the alley and turns and goes beside the building up towards the front. And if there is a point of connection at that, they will dig that up as well so that they can hammer down the length and measure the length of the leach field. So this is all a requirement of the county to verify that the leach field is going to support the 8 bathrooms. And so that was one of the steps the county wanted done, and that's in process today.
Bob, just so they're aware, that's not a county alley.
Right.
We own the land.
Yeah.
We can dig it up or do what we want.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, we own not only the alley behind the building, but on over to the next street. So that lot that's just bushes beside us does not own that
We own
section
that.
of
We
the
own
alley. We actually own
all the way
all the way to the street.
Right.
It's right on the plot plan from the Chicago title,
So we could make the subject whatever we can.
if we needed to. Now, we have to be careful because in there is both Kissack's water lines and a Cal water line, as well as propane and, other things. But we had a guy out there this morning witching it with the wires. And he would just walk along and he'd get to where the line was and the things would start boom, like that. We would mark the ground. And it's an art. I was trying to learn that many years ago, and I was starting to get a little proficient at it, but there are people who are really good at it.
Can you do it with lotto numbers?
Well, okay, the guy that was teaching me, he said, I can give you the lottery numbers. But he says the problem is when you delve into the future, you get into an area that gets really, really I don't know, he says it does something with your mind because divining is done with the mind. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it works. It's a reality, but it's very bizarre. And how it works. Okay, anyway, that aside. Okay, so we're working on the septic. Also, the floodplain came back and said we got to do the things on the back doors.
Panels.
Little panels.
Right.
So
Okay.
those are the 2 last things. As soon as John gives me the map and that the septic system is addressed, then that and the response that will install those doors will go back to the county, and then it should get approved. So the only thing I was waiting on was the septic system being verified. So that's where we're at on that building. Suite A, I was down in there this morning. We have about 10 feet of cove base to put up. All the door frames are painted. It's looking really nice in there. And then we'll be starting on Suite D here shortly. Right now, we're kind of working on CT trailer before the rains hit.
That would be good.
So that we don't get water in the CT scanner.
On our own roof too.
Well, we're working on that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's where we're at on the new admin building. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have a permit. So we can go out to bid on the 2 suites.
Well, could we do that now? I mean, technically, because you've got plans. But in other words, we talked about
The
that.
architect's more comfortable with having plans that are approved.
Yeah.
We
talked about
we're
that.
very close to having approved plans.
I know.
And as soon as, but he's got to put this information onto the plans related to the septic system. At that point, and with the flood barrier doors added, yes, we could take those plans and go out to bid. Because there shouldn't be any.
I know we
changes
talked about that.
at this point.
You got material plans that they're almost 95%.
Yes, yeah, we're very close.
Bob, what is the cost right now for the septic?
Don't
What's
know.
going on?
Well, because we're doing it on a time and material. In other words, we don't know what the scope's gonna be, so. It was probably only, if everything would have been A-OK, we'd have been billed probably less than $1,000. Just to pump the tank and take the measurements and be done. But now that we're having to dig up sections, Connor's here with his tractor doing the digging down to the lines and, and so we have 2 contractors out there working. My guess is we're probably looking at 3, maybe 4 grand total,
Thank you.
be my estimate.
They're pretty fair, General Fleming is.
Yes.
They're reasonable.
I have been surprised with work he's done here for the hospital when I got the invoice, because I just asked him to do it and he did it. When I got the invoice, I was surprised at how low it was. Yes.
Sounds
John
the same way.
But
He must
that's,
have sent
Sounds
you-
the same way.
yeah,
He must have sent you my bill.
could be. All right, so emergency generator. We, as you saw here, we got the authority to construct from the Eastern Air Pollution Control District. And everything looks in line. We're allowed, hopefully we don't have any long power outages. We're allowed 200 hours of runtime per year. But that's a lot of hours. That's in and above maintenance. So maintenance wise, I need 8 hours runtime a year for the monthlies and 9 hours of runtime for the weeklies, for a total of 17 hours. And they give me 50 hours for maintenance. And then they give me 200 hours. Now, if we had some long outages, all I have to do, I have to put in for written approval to the district. In other words, if we were in, say, July and we'd already used up close to our 200 hours, we can put in a request that due to such and such a situation, we have more runtime hours than expected, and the state's right in the authority to construct that we can do so. So anyway, so this is all good. I challenged, we're trying to get the generator pad itself poured maybe late next week, if not first of the following week. And then I've asked the architect to have the structural engineer verify, how hard does he want the concrete to be before we place the generator? Because then I can have Quinn crane it in place and we can start running the wiring. We're expected to start running wire next week. Right now, we're just waiting on there's a minor change to the structural steel in the foundation that we're waiting for OSHPAD approval on, having to do with the depth of the rebar. And so then once that's done, we should be placing rebar later this week. And then hopefully pouring first part of the following week. And then we'll start also pulling the wire up through what was already been run and up the side of the building, across the roof and all of that. So that'll all be happening in the next few weeks.
Would it be helpful if the board wants to, maybe after the meeting, go take a walk out just to kind of show you, so you get a visual of?
Yeah, I
work that's
can
being done?
certainly
I always
kind of walk
like
you
this
through
stuff.
where things are going to be and where it's going to run, if anybody would like to see that.
Yeah, it'd be helpful sometimes.
Yeah, it's
You get a sense of the scope, what's going on back there.
yeah, so that's the status on generator. It's going pretty well. They wanted to charge me $986 for the structural steel change, and I said no. So I said, you chose the routing of the conduits. Everything that's in there is on the drawings. You missed it, it's not my problem. So I told them you need to absorb that cost. So that's just some of the fun of dealing with general contractors. Sometimes you got to put it down.
Each your $900.
Yeah. I mean, it's a minor cost, but it's like, no. Nothing's been put in that's not exactly per the plans. You didn't figure your rebar right then. Anyway, all right, so boiler number 2 replacement. As I said here, I will have it out to bid this week. I've been playing a little catch up because, like I said, I was getting sick. I've been off work a number of days, and so I'm a little behind. Oh, and I did want to say on the master plan that you had asked me for an RF for a construction manager. I had it about 75% done by the time that I had to give everything to Heidi. So because of being sick and being off a number of days, I didn't get that completed, but I will have it for you at the next meeting. It's like I said, you know, what I did is I got some RFPs for public entities off of the internet. And I chose, I downloaded 5 of them. I went through all 5 of them and I found one that seemed the most applied to what we're doing. And then we're, of course, rewriting it and taking out a school district's name and putting in the hospital's name. And then once I have that, Tim will review it and Scott will review it, and then it'll come to you guys for review. And I just, unfortunately, being sick, I ran out of time on that. So that will be to you at the next meeting, bar not getting sick again. Okay, and then on the boiler 2 replacement, so I'll have that out to bid this week. Now, I did contact our supplier on the 2 boilers because the owner is supplying the boilers and the contractor is just going to install them. There was 2 capital requests that I submitted, and one of them was to purchase the boilers and for the OSHPD or the architect, the A&E fee. So you know where we're at. The cost of the boilers was $87,968.60. And then the A&E fees to draw the plans for OSHPD was $67,000. Where we are at today, we have paid the architect of the $67,000. We have paid him $53,600. So there's money left for them to oversee the project through the end of the work. So we're right on budget there. I did contact our supplier on the boilers. They do have 2 in stock at the factory. And I would like to go ahead and purchase those because let's just say they sell those 2. And then maybe we're in the queue for the next time they build them, which, you know, we don't know. I know it took us a year to get the emergency generator. So I want to go ahead and purchase those. The board approved it on 9/27/22 at the building and planning meeting to go ahead and purchase those. But I just wanted to bring it up that I would like to go ahead and, you know, with Tim's approval, place that order because that way they might be here a little bit early, but we have them.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in rate between then and now?
The only thing that they missed was $2,000 in shipping. But the price is exactly the same.
Do we
So-
motion to reapprove it, or is it?
So in other words, it's the quote is still $87,968.60 plus, I believe it's
And the
$2,000.
board's already approved that.
Yes. I don't think we need a motion.
But
I
it is
just,
because it's already done.
We can't, it's not on the agenda, so.
yeah, right. And all I'm saying is that I, you know, with everybody's approval, Tim's approval, I would like to go ahead and place that order. It's gonna take a few weeks to get them here. It's not like they're sitting, you know, in Bakersfield.
Right.
We've already approved it. There's no.
Yes. Anyway, so I just let you know that pieces are starting to fall into place. I will have it out to bid. I plan on leaving it out to bid for 4 weeks.
Okay.
Maybe 3.5 so that I can bring it back to this meeting. Next meeting,
Yeah.
where we at on our quote. Hopefully we get some contractors interested in putting it in. Yeah, just so you're aware, I have a rough estimate that I have put in the budget for construction, which is tear out the old boilers, set 2 new boilers, hook up some existing piping to the boilers and some programming with the building management system and some propane line, you know, not a lot, 20 feet of propane line. I have budgeted 80,000. So, you know, hoping that I don't make a mistake like I did on the emergency generator. You know, it's 160, but we won't know until it goes out to bid and we get pricing back. But that's what I had put on the original. That I had done 2 CERs, one for the purchase and the A&E and one for the assumed construction costs. And those both went to the board back in 9/27.
What's the main contractor?
Well, for the generator project, they're using a contractor out of Bakersfield I'm not familiar with. But
That's
yeah,
the biggest part of the cement.
not for the boiler project, there's no cement work, but on the generator project, there's some substantial cement work, yes. But the cement is coming from the local 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So patient monitoring equipment, the everything got approved. We pull tested the anchor bolt that Oshkosh wanted to pull test. It passed, no issue. 400 pounds full. And we have cut all the steel to size, and we are in the process of drilling the steel, getting ready to mount it. We have tentatively scheduled the installation of equipment for the week of November 27th.
The equipment shipped, correct? Or it's in process?
It's in process of being shipped. And my conversations with him this week, he just got back to me this morning. And we were debating between the 13th and the 27th, but their crew is already tied up on the 13th. So they're scheduled to be here and install on the 27th. So our mounts will be up, and ready and done before then.
That's Thanksgiving week, short week.
That's the week between.
Is it? Okay.
It's a week between the 13th and the 17th.
Okay.
We didn't pick that. We didn't pick the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
It was the week before and the week after.
Yeah, 27th should be the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yes. So that's where we're at on that. Everything, all the ducks are lining up on that one, and my guys just got to drill some holes. We'll paint the steel, get it bolted in with the toggle bolts, expansion bolts, and we'll be ready. They said they've already shipped me the rails that mount to our tube steel. And so as soon as those are here, we can get those mounted. So when they come, all they have to do is run the cable, drop the mount into the thing, hook it up, and fixation
Now,
monitor.
you've indicated before, because again, most of the mounts are gonna be on the outside wall, so it's going into the
Cement block.
but there's two inside walls that are not. Where we have
There's 6 into CMU walls, and there's 1 into a stud wall on the south end of that 2.
right, one. Yeah, I thought we had an extra bed on the other one too, so
We're
They're on the outside.
My understanding is,
Yeah.
yes, we have.
There's that one-
6,
right in room one there.
but we're not, I don't believe we have a patient monitor.
That's
Mark, we don't have a patient monitor in that hallway bed, do we? In room 1. Yeah, he's shaking. his head.
Which inside wall are we talking about then?
We don't have an inside wall. We have 3 in room 1.
Stud wall.
The fourth
3.
bed in room 2.
There's a 4th bed around the corner in room 2,
Okay,
but that's a furred stud wall.
okay.
So we have-
The fourth bed in room 1 is not a licensed bed. It's only a gurney bed.
Right.
And there is a monitor there. It's just placed there on a little shelf and it's strapped down.
Okay,
Yeah, but it's not.
Not a
that's what I
mounted.
remember seeing a monitor there before, that's what I was wondering, I think on that's what I was
But
thought.
we're not doing a
It's our
mount.
transport monitor.
Yes,
Okay,
they just use the transport monitor on that.
the other one is the fourth bed in the other room.
Yes.
Got it, okay.
So those will all be done in the next 2 weeks, and then we will install equipment, and that project will be done. The surgery decontamination sink, you saw my budget on that. In the
What was the total amount?
You're asking me to remember, 2 weeks,
Oh, okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
7,000 something, I think.
The sink for surgery,
The sink.
He jumped.
What?
He jumped past laundry doors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that was a closed project.
Laundry doors, we're just closing that occupied. It's 100% done. Good.
How do you-
You guys were talking about.
Yeah, I know, we talked about it.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, well, maybe
I thought you said you were gonna send it out to Fred.
I thought it was in the attachment, or the stuff I sent you.
It was below the $25,000.
Oh, yeah, it was like 7,000. It's the total budget. I had a breakdown of the hours of labor for demo, the hours of labor for framing, the hours of labor for plumbing. And then plus the material, the cost of the sink, $240, the cost of the faucet, 400 and some odd dollars, and et cetera. Everything was spelled out. And I did a budget for it like you asked, but we forgot to attach it, but it's well under, it's
So you just send it out.
1/3 of our limit. And that is including the wages of my most expensive guy. Calculated for the hours.
Just to confirm, he's gonna email that out to us,
Yeah.
with ideas.
Yeah, we can email out that actual budget. I
Because-
thought
It
it
was
was
raised,
here.
so I wanna make sure it gets out.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just have heard before that emails were going out
Yep.
that never went, so. Okay,
Yeah, not a problem. Sync budget. I will make sure that you get that.
Yeah, get it to Heidi.
Yeah,
Sure we get proper email address.
and the other one was was the other thing I said I'd give you, Heidi?
Comments for.
Oh, the 41 comments.
Yes.
All right. I'll write it down. I'm gonna forget to do it. Okay, the seismic upgrade for the newer buildings. They came, they met, we went through everything. We did 3D pictures of all the attic spaces. I actually have a meeting with the architect and the contractors that walk the job tomorrow to go over their initial findings. To then be able to put together what we'll submit to Oshkosh by January 1st of what will be required for the NPC upgrade of the newest buildings. It's not looking bad. I mean, they didn't find much. So the buildings are actually in very good shape. They were surprised.
That was after Northridge. That's
Yes,
probably.
yeah, well, there were some upgrades done because of that, yes. And so at the next meeting, I should have a complete kind of a synopsis of what that will be. What will be needing to be done for the NPC. And I think in our early budgets, I had thrown a number in there, not even knowing what the scope of what we had to do for about $500,000.
Now, this obviously does not include the SNF because that's not required.
SNF is not required. Yes.
Do we at some point want to consider, obviously, because these are safety issues, is it something that maybe we should go back and look at?
For SNF?
Yeah.
What we can do is we can look at the comments on dietary and surgery building and the link building. And we'll see what might apply to skilled nursing. Skilled nursing is built differently. But the systems are similar, and it's the systems that are the NPC compliance.
Right.
So, yeah.
The sprinkler has mounted.
Yeah,
Bracing and stuff like that.
end of line restraints,
Right.
verifying that the bracing was done, kind of a thing. So
I understand it's not necessarily required, but it's a
Right.
right issue, then why wouldn't we get?
it's, anyway, so I should have a much better handle on that by next meeting because I will know a lot more about where we're at tomorrow. Okay. And then the laughable project of the signage to go up in the buildings stating our SPC and NPC compliance. Interestingly enough, Oshkosh has now reviewed all of our submittals from years ago before my time and has changed the SPC rating of 2 of our buildings.
And now 5.
So believe it or not, skilled nursing facility and dietary building are considered to be SPC 5, and it doesn't get any higher than that. As whereas the surgery building, the link building, and the central plant are SPC 4s. Which is still
higher with
still takes us through 2030, no problem.
Right.
But interestingly enough, the wood framed skilled nursing building came back as an SPC 5. Along with the dietary building. And the dietary building is built a little differently than the surgery building and the central plant in its. A lot of that structural integrity has to do with how the framing is braced. The structural steel is braced. Anyway, so all of that has been sent to the architect with the latest changes of SPC 5s. And so they'll be submitting that shortly to Mr. Carl Sherman at Oshkosh. Okay, and I think that's it for project update.
Questions for Bob?
Hey, Graham, are you the next one?
No, think so.
Just says renewal of lease.
Oh, that's the grounds. Yeah, we have, asked Dr. Leho for another 1-year extension on the lease for the building across the street. We're working, been working, trying to figure out how to get this approved since Oshkosh basically came down and was mandating any hospital outpatient buildings needed to be a level 3 building, which would have required significant upgrades of all the air conditioning systems, some of the plumbing, You can't have PVC pipe in there. You have to have cast iron, which is nuts. As well as coax, or is it conduit for your wire and so forth. And so I had a conversation with the hospital association. And the hospital association is basically willing to go to bat for us with Oshkosh on these, that it's ridiculous to hold us to those standards, especially in rural communities where you're not gonna find level 3 buildings available unless you.
And from my understanding with Oshkosh, it's more CDPH's call than theirs.
Yeah.
But they're enforcing the Oshkosh 3 level,
So,
but it's at CDPH's.
so we're gonna actually go to CDPH for a waiver of those requirements on that building, which would then allow us to put whatever we wanted in there.
Then we can
As long as it's not an
then we can put
ambulatory hospital
hospital
or dialysis or something like that, we would be
Yeah.
okay. So then we could put whatever we want in there, and that was really great. So, and
Should we
he,
try to buy the building before we do that? And since Leo would know, that it'd be pretty expensive to bring it up to date.
yeah, well, like I said, if it's ultimately ruled that we don't need to, then there would be, I don't know that would make a difference per se. But, and he's completely fine. I mean, the lease is exactly the same as it was before.
Purchase price, do we?
Yeah, everything's the same. He's not touching any of that stuff,
We
so.
never had a purchase.
It was, the purchase price was gonna be based upon the assessed value, whatever the assessed value came back at. That's what the purchase price. So,
No.
I will,
Just after if it was assessed.
not yet, no.
I will tell you that when we got ready to expand the clinic for Greg.
Yeah.
A few years back, that the whole Oshkosh 3 thing came up. And I went down with drawings and I met with CDPH in Bakersfield. And I explained to him that it's an operational clinic that we're doing a minor expansion to. And that if they wanted the whole building brought to Oshkosh 3, we would have to close the clinic for an entire year, leaving no healthcare here in the valley. And they actually waived the requirement, because the requirement at the end of the project is that the architect has to sign an affidavit that this has been built to Oshkosh 3. But that's at the request of CDPH. So when we got to the end of the project with Greg's project, that request for that document just never came. So they can waive it if they
Yeah.
so choose.
And I'll give you an example. I was speaking with David Botcher from the hospital council the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact. We had talked about it, apparently after one of the hospitals closed because of some seismic issue work and stuff like that. The governor made a decision. They told Oshkosh there'll be no other hospitals closing as a result of this stuff. And so there was one hospital that was in this inner city facility that needed to be upgraded. It was a 1950s building and so forth. But because of the hallways being so much narrower, that those were all going to have to be gutted. And
That's a tough one.
and so their cost to rebuild that building was $2 billion. Oshkosh came back with a phone call through them and meetings with them. They basically said, we're not going to change the hallway widths and so forth. We're going to just strengthen the building and we're fine. So that $2 billion cost went to 400 million. And so forth. It's a big hospital and so forth. And so he said, this is where the hospital association was going like, hey, wait a second. It's like, so you're not willing to come out and publicly state that you're willing to do this stuff, but on a hospital by hospital basis, you're willing to bend the rules so that we don't bankrupt these hospitals and do all this other stuff. So this is why, like I said, why, we're making the call on the building across the street and stuff like that. So, but they're obviously willing to be more flexible in helping hospitals get through some of the seismic stuff.
Assessed value, what's your definition of assessed value? What is assessed value?
Assessed value is based upon getting an outside evaluator to review the
Appraisal.
property. Appraisal.
Okay, not assessed value.
Yeah, it's appraisal is what I was at.
Okay,
That's the word.
assessed value would be nothing.
It's the appraised price is what I'm trying to call. Thank you.
Well, the Kern County tax records, they give it an assessed value.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
We would want to buy it for that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, the appraised price. Yeah, I stand corrected. Thank you.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, just permission to go ahead and release that for another year on the same
Need
conditions.
a motion.
Yes.
It looks like we need to.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we do another year.
I'll second. Ms. Catherine?
Yes.
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 Okay, great, thanks. Thank you, sir, for your work.
Okay. Hospital grounds upkeep discussion.
Oh, okay, so 4 years ago, I was approached by administration to come up with cost savings. But one of the cost savings we came up with was that we were paying, I believe it was $2,200 a month to have a company come in and just mow the grass, trim the bushes here on the main campus. And so what the thought was is that we would take a half an FTE out of maintenance and move and join the one person in grounds. And with 1.5 FTEs, see whether we could maintain all the properties. That's a cost saving measure. It has been somewhat successful. But obviously, as you've seen, we're not keeping up 100%. And I don't have additional manpower to put on it without shorting the maintenance crew and or the projects crew. So Tim had asked me to take a look at what we could do to bring our level of landscape maintenance back up. So what I did is, I didn't reapproach the company that had done it before. We know what that cost. He also doesn't have a crew or anything. And so back when he first started doing it for us, his son worked for him, and his son did all of our mowing and stuff, and he did a very good job. So I approached Kelso Creek Maintenance Landscaping and went over all the properties that we have. And what I did is, you can see here on page 7, I did a division of duties, option 1 and option 2. So we have the main campus, and then we have 9 off-site properties, which is, accounting, retail, pharmacy, thrift store, et cetera, et cetera. So I had them give me separate costs for each piece of property. And so then what I then did was option 1 is to have them do the mowing and grass removal and trimming and pruning, leaf and tree debris removal for the main campus of this city block. And then weed removal of off-site properties of the 9 properties. And that came to a total cost of $21,400 for an annual cost. And there's I think it's the previous page or the following page. It's the following page. I broke down what months they would do what properties, so we never exceeded $2,000 a month, which is actually a cost savings over what we were paying 4 years ago. But then I also did an option 2, which is just mowing of lawns, removal of grass clippings, trimming and pruning bushes, leaf and tree debris removal just on this campus, but not the 9 outlying. And that would all be picked up by my in-house 1.5 FTEs. And that came to an annual cost of $15,600. And I know we're trying to watch spending, but I was also asked, what would it cost to improve the grounds, and you could say, well, we could add a person in on staff, but a person on staff would cost me more than this. Whereas here they would be coming in with a crew, with a trailer, with all the equipment, and they knock it out and they're done. If I hire an FTE,
What are we paying currently with what you're doing?
well, we're paying, to tell you the truth, I did not look up Greg's wages and Tom Webb's wages. But
Probably
it's
should,
but 1.5 FTEs in-house.
Could we try it for 6 months or so, or maybe a year, because there's different seasons?
Yeah, because like in the summertime, they might have to mow twice a week, but in the wintertime, they could mow every other week, kind of a thing. Is kind of what I discussed with them. Which anyway, so depending on what we did here, if we did option 2, where they only mowed this campus, and we took care of the 9 outside properties, I would probably leave the 1.5 FTEs that I currently have, continuing to pick up the difference. If we had them do the main campus and the 9 offsite properties for weed removal, I would probably pull the 0.5 FTE back into maintenance where I really kind of need them to pick up more additional maintenance duties, leaving only just 1 FTE to handle the additional grounds. And I don't know if you noticed in the notes here, but just the sprinkler, because when I mentioned sprinkler system, the guy from Kelso Creek, he goes, I said, no, we wouldn't be asking you to do that system because there's a lot of work involved. And I've calculated it up. We have 41 zones. So we have 41 actual zone valves operated by 2 water systems and 2 clock systems and 720 hits. And those are forever getting broken and stuck and not working. And so it's a 0.5 FTE just to maintain the sprinkler system. And so either option has us taking care of the sprinkler system, trimming and removal of trees and planting new. Of course, he goes, well, I really like doing trees. And I said, well, so do I. So, and a lot of the trees you've seen planted here, I've grown from seed. It's a hobby of mine that I do on the side, and I bring them here and I donate them to the hospital. Trash pickup on the outside trashes twice a week. Spraying for weed control, which we would still do, is 3 to 6 times per year. And then we want to do a better job on what we call the healing garden, which is the areas on both sides of acute care where the patients look out of their windows, and there's an inner courtyard that we haven't been doing a really good job on. And nursing has helped do some on their part with planting things, and we maintain the drip. But I'd like to make that look a lot better. If we went with an outside service for the mowing, we could do a better job on some of these focused
In a
projects.
case like that, why wouldn't you just put artificial grass in there with that? It's visual only.
It still grows weeds.
Oh, it doesn't.
I have artificial grass in
I
my
have
yard.
artificial grass and I challenge you.
So I have 4,500
If it's-
square feet of
If
it.
it's put in there properly, it's not.
It
It's put in right.
It doesn't grow
No.
weeds.
It will not.
I do.
If it's
I get
put
a
in
few.
properly.
I get a few in mine. I have my whole.
Maybe if a bird drops a seed on top, you can pluck it right out.
Well, I know.
That's right.
My wife occasionally has to mow the grass by going out and pulling the weeds that come up through the vent holes. I like, we all have artificial grass because that's the only way you can have a good looking lawn.
Exactly. Year round.
But I'm not saying we couldn't do that, but there's expense to that too. It's a pretty big area. Currently it's gravel, put in long before my time. Perfect. And, but the weeds come up through it. And
Desert landscaping looks great.
But to make it look good, artificial.
Yes.
You could, I don't know if you can give me more, but I bought a lot of that football fields where they tear it up.
Yeah. Oh,
That stuff is awesome. It's amazing what.
Yeah, well, it's top grade stuff.
Yeah, oh, it's really.
Yeah, but anyway, so I would like to put some more concerted effort of my in-house person into these areas that we'd like to make just focused areas that would not be under contract. Now, this is just a suggestion, you know, if we choose that we want to keep our belt tight because we've got increased wages coming up and all these things, you know, we can say, I can call them and tell them, you know, thank you for your, you know, bids, but we'll continue to do it in-house. You know, and we will continue to try and take care of the areas that are suffering a bit.
My concern has been that we've not been able to do that. Okay, with the
Well, yeah.
people that we have.
No, we don't have enough
I'm gonna
men.
put that out there. I'm not even gonna say it's that. What I'm saying is that, you know, again, it is imperative that this hospital look clean and neat and so forth. It's a reflection on the quality of what work we do here. You know, and so when you're seeing the grass this high, you know, when, you know, it's, you know, the bushes are all overlapping under the ground. So I mean, our residents can't get out to the smoking area. Or the area out there where they sit to kind of, you know, just view the ball fields and stuff like that. You know, can't walk on the sidewalks because the trees are hanging down. That's an issue. Or at our clinic, you know, the weeds are coming up through it's just, and I know we've had a lot of rain this year and that has impacted that, you know, but
Why don't we let?
I'm just saying that we need to do a better job on grass. There's nothing.
They're pretty reliable. They do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm not
let
adverse to it. no.
Try the basic, and then you can manipulate it as it goes along.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you ask me for a recommendation, I would recommend that we go with a lesser cost of having them do this city block.
Right, right.
And that, we'll put more effort into, like I noticed, we've got like 4 tumbleweeds growing down on the empty lot next to the pharmacy. We need to get down there and get those 4 tumbleweeds pulled.
Well, those bushes will only be trimmed.
Well, and that's my plan. I got our chainsaw repaired. And we're gonna go down there and we're gonna take out all of those bushes beside the retail pharmacy. They had given me a one-time cost to clean up retail pharmacy, but I would rather just go down there and take care of it. And if we go with a lesser cost, we would be taking care of it anyway, either way. That's.
Could I make a motion that we?
Well, this is just on there for, this is just on there.
Well, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not any.
Not, again, because of the cost on this is something I'll just decide
It's
on.
incidental, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So this is an annual.
Yeah, it's a pretty
annual
small
cost.
thing.
It is, yeah. But like I said, we just kind of wanted to bring it to you.
But
So
we
I
want
wanted
it
to
to
show
look
an effort.
good. You want it to look good also.
Absolutely.
But not just here.
Yes, all of
We,
that.
we see this, but other people see the other 9 properties more than we do.
Correct.
It takes 1.5 days to mow this property for one.
Well, and
person.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But my concern is if we only do the option 2, I mean, I sit in these meetings and most of the time is you're behind because you don't have the manpower.
Well, no, I'm not saying I'm not willing to go with option 1. It just costs, $5,800 more a year. That would really help us get along because they would hit, and you can see on the next page that those offsite properties, I have them doing the, I believe it's 4 times a year. Yes. So like they Mesa Clinical Pharmacy, they would hit that for, every 3 months, they would be down there making sure weeds are gone, everything's neat and clean. In between, if there's any issues, we would look at it, but I didn't budget them to go there, every month. Because it's just some bushes with a drip system and gravel, as long as we take care of the weeds. But they would take care of the weeds every 3 months. Because it takes a while for the weeds to spring up. But again, wintertime, if we have a lot of rain, then it becomes a bigger issue. But I tried to not spend exorbitant amounts of time for them to go by and pull 6 weeds once it's under control. So, they're hitting each of these offsite properties. Our 2 empty lots are twice a year, which is the one next to the pharmacy and the one next to the thrift store. Twice a year.
2 lots next to the pharmacy. That's not 1 lot.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's not just 2 lots, but I call it 1 lot because it's one big square level pad. But yes, it would be that piece of property. That would be twice a year. Anyway, so Tim asked me to present this. I wish I had the manpower to do a really, really good job. And if I had a guy that was younger, we could get a little more done. But all of us are getting a little older. It's slowing down a little bit.
Should try that guy, Tim.
Yeah.
You know where he came from?
No.
Camp Owens.
Oh, they're right.
He was an inmate there.
Wow.
And, he grew out of it.
Yeah.
Started business here.
Yeah.
Doing well. He's a good guy.
They
Yeah.
seem to be real go-getters.
Yeah. And he presented himself at the Exchange Club and talked about exactly what I just said.
Is that right?
Yep.
You remember the press?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And that was public, so I'm sure he's not,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
With Kenny's partner, that's what helped him get where he's at.
Good. Well, that's all good feedback. I appreciate that.
So what would be the cost if we replace the lawn with artificial turf? I mean, I know it's expensive, but it's a one-time cost instead of something we have to pay every year.
You talking about in the patio area or out right here?
I wouldn't.
On this
all
campus,
the grass.
on this campus. I mean, we're gonna lose some of the grass when we do the remodel, so.
Truthfully, the
Not
way I
really.
would approach it, and forgive me if I'm wrong. Down by skilled nursing would have you have artificial there, but take the rest of this and go desert landscape.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That way there's no, all you're dealing with at that point is gravel, a little bit of cactus work, if you want to call it that, and very minimal maintenance.
Take all the trees out. The trees will all die.
Well, you can still sprinkle you can still create wells and stuff for sprinkling.
Yeah, we'd have to drill them for deep watering.
Yeah.
And
The problem you'd have with the trees, obviously, is they're gonna make a mess in your rock.
Right.
Now,
But
you-
yes, when it comes to artificial turf,
I'm not.
being with what we have to do here and the rules we have to follow as a hospital, I'd be afraid to know what the
It has to meet some standard, I'm sure.
I know, I have to put it in my house and it's like,
The water
that's like
bills-
small area, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very expensive.
water bill's not included, so if we did what Fred said and did.
Well, we would save some water,
4,400 a month for water.
yeah, of which
Some of
probably
it's for
a
hospital.
20 to 20% is probably landscaping. I actually am probably gonna have to do an entire water study. It's all related to the NPC 5 requirements.
Mm.
There's a huge study that has to be done of, what's the size of your cooling towers and how much evaporation you have off your cooling towers and how much, because I have what goes into the treatment plant. I can prove the amount of water that goes in the treatment plant because I measure it daily. But there's evaporative stuff. So in other words, as part of the whole NBC 5 thing, we have, where we are talking, you've heard us talk about the possibility of putting a well in, because with a well, we can provide 100% of the needs of the water for the hospital without going into a water restriction plan, which most hospitals are having to submit to OSHPD and CDPH a water restriction plan. But how do you shut off? What waters can you shut off? What departments can you close? Yes, you can turn off your irrigation systems, but you still have to prove a substantial reduction because NPC 5 requires you to have 96 hours of water on hand and 96 hours of handling your waste treatment plant, which most hospitals have to do with tanks because they don't have a treatment plant. So it's huge for a lot of hospitals to meet NPC 5. We're actually in a really good shape. I talked with Scott Kissick, what he gets gallon per minute out of the well over here. And so if we did a well over here, it would probably be relatively the same as 475 feet deep. And it would provide 100% of what the water hospital needs. And so then all of a sudden, we've already met the water supply requirement for 96 hours on our treatment plant on emergency power. It takes care of the 96 hours of handling the waste stream in case of losing all utilities from, plus then between the Tesla battery system and the new emergency generator, we are sitting good for an emergency.
But we have to have Scott, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to get back to my original question. How does the price of the artificial turf compare
I do not know.
to our annual maintenance cost?
I am
Short of getting a
I
bid
can
for
give
it.
you a ballpark. You gotta realize, unfortunately, this is 4 years old information.
Right.
I bought my turf. It's 1 7/8 inch tall, 90 ounce, which is a good product. Direct from the manufacturer. Purchasing the turf is cheap.
Yeah.
I ended up having to put it down myself because the cheapest quote I got for 4,500 square feet was almost 20 grand. Literally all I had.
And we have hugely more than that here.
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to the
Paying
concept
scale.
of changing.
I mean, just think of the fact that we have to pay scale on top of it, it's probably 4 or 5 times that.
Yeah, it's expensive.
You have to go down about 8 inches of foot and put granite in. That's why it doesn't grow grass.
Yeah,
Right.
It's almost like
Decompose,
cement underneath.
There's no dirt there to grow in.
Right.
That's correct.
So like he
It's a
said, some birds
huge
and
job, plus all the irrigation systems have to be cut all the way back and then redone because you gotta have a drip to every plant you do have and every tree. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I don't think we can afford it.
Can we do it a little bit at a time? I mean,
Well, we could look at doing, say, the area around skilled nursing. I gotta take that tree out anyway, related to camera angles and security measures. And I already took out a bunch of the bushes and that's why I did either nice. It's the same reason. But yeah, I mean, we could look at maybe doing a smaller area. It's best, let's say, inside the fence, it's go to it's artificial turf.
Bob, is the difference, between the two? Is that still less than a FTE or half?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because an FTE,
Your FTE is gonna be 50 to 60,000 at least.
Right.
so, and you're gonna take. You're just wanting to leave one person to do the outside?
well, with a possibility of using the other half an FTE some of the time. But I would prefer to have him in-house doing more. I mean, what it is the half an FTE is my guy that works the weekends. So he works 4 10s. He works Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. On Saturday and Sunday, he's working mainly in the house, taking care of issues for nursing. And then on Friday and Monday, he works on grounds with my other guy.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at all these issues in terms of trying to figure out cost wise what works best for us. and
Yes,
get
an
it done.
FTE is 60,000 a year for a reasonable price. That's it.
So-
But with the new minimum wage.
So like I said, for me, I'm more inclined to go with a higher price.
I would think, I'm leaning that one too.
You know, just to get more of that work being done
Yeah.
on a regular schedule type thing and so forth, so.
Well, and I know artificial grass looks good, but
There's still maintenance.
but we have people, I mean, patients that they like to watch. People, the lawns get mowed and the smell of it. I mean, we use it as sensory.
And I will.
When I was at the nursing home,
summertime,
It's hot.
Very hot.
It's very hot.
You better be wearing
Unless you're
shirts.
allergic to grass.
Yeah, well,
My wife thought it looked great in our backyard and I put up her little pool where she could lay in, the sun in the water. And she took her thongs off and stepped on that grass.
That's why you have to use sand as your backfill to
Yes.
control the temperature of that black.
But it still gets hot.
we can use artificial water to water.
That's true. That'll cool it down.
well, and what I was gonna say, when we water our lawn, the temperature in our home just drops drastically.
Correct.
That is true, that's,
Yeah.
So,
And yes.
I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, I could justify it up or down, whichever way you guys wanna go, but I'm just saying, even, the watering, it can drop 10, 15 degrees at least in my house.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Could we
yeah.
drill a well? Could we drill one? Would we have to have Scott's permission?
Well,
not if we did it on our property.
I don't know that we
Yeah,
need
let's sort it
Scott's
out.
permission, but we need the county's.
Right,
permission.
right. Yeah, well, the county,
Yeah.
as long as he's.
I don't think Scott would have any issue
But
with
he
it.
wouldn't, he'd let us do it.
Well, because we're still gonna buy our water from Scott. This well would be for emergency backup only. It would be a well with a tank of a certain size and it would have to have treatment on it to make it potable.
Okay, so, but we could use it for the landscaping the way it was. It is.
If we separated our landscaping off of,
Yeah, right, right.
yes, I mean, yes, anything is possible. I mean, the whole front is done from right near the steps coming up to PT. That's where the sprinkler systems on the whole front of the campus are fed from. The back one is backed by the heliport. There's a 2-inch water main there that services the back of the campus and down this side to this corner. Anyways,
I've got some good feedback and.
yeah,
We'll
it's
figure out what we're gonna do. And like I said, we'll look into the other options as well. Probably go forward with one of these strategies. While we look at those other options and so forth, so.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Where would you drill a well? At the lot across the street?
right at the lot across the street. Yeah. Because if I keep it down towards this end, I have to come under the road. I have to branch over this way and pick up the feeds to the new buildings, which are right out front here.
Right.
And then I have to come up the
I got one
side
out
here
to
and
my
I have to pick up the water feed coming into the acute care building.
That'd be a good thing. We should keep an eye open for a driller.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a really good option. I haven't pursued yet on what it takes to get a permit from the county related. I mean, but I'm sure we can get any of their rules probably overridden from the standpoint of some emergency preparedness driven by
And
the
with
state of California.
Scott's permission, because.
Well, of course, and I already talked to Scott about it,
Yeah, he-
and I explained to him that this will be for emergency backup.
Right.
Driven by the state, and he was perfectly fine with it and gave me all the info on his well over here and what it produces and whatnot. Yeah.
All right, okay, good, thank you. We appreciate everybody's feedback.
Yeah.
Moving on to invoice review. Did everyone review the invoices that were sent to us?
Last time, everybody said they'd probably looked through them. Obviously, JTS is their app payoff number 4. And then DFI, the reason there's 3 from DFI is I had submitted some to accounting. And then these are like 3 months of the inspector of records bills. And I submitted one to the county and then our accounting said, oh, by the way, those need to go to the board. So we pulled it back. And that's why we now have 3 DFIs here. And I just separated them because there's 3 separate invoices. All on the emergency generator. And then Earth Systems, they did the compaction testing of the soil around the generator. And then Radian Design, that is the one of a small invoice nearing the end of the project on that.
Yeah, I didn't see anything earth shattering.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, sir.
make a motion that we accept,
Yeah,
No,
just in
go
one
ahead.
swoop motion to accept all the invoices.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. We'll second that. Second that. Okay. Then are you in agreement with accepting all this presented?
Yes.
I know you've missed it, Ross. We were just gonna accept we made a motion to accept all the invoices as presented.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Cindy's got the originals here for
Signature.
you to sign and the board to sign.
Not a problem. Okay. I don't see anything else on the agenda, guys. Yeah, so I'm showing we're adjourned. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.